Okay, let's give you guys some practice now. I'm going to give you a circle. Let's say a circle of radius 1. I'm going to give you a random point on this circle here. So you've got to draw the graph of sine of x. So it looks something like this, and cos of x, which looks something like this. And then you've got to tell me where this point corresponds to on the graph here. So what I will do the first one, and then you see what I mean afterwards. So remember, when you have a circle here, the sine here represents the height. Okay, the height represents sine of x, and the cos here is the width. The width here represents the cos. Okay, so when you come to sketch the graph, it will look something like this. So this here is your sine of x graph. Okay, sine of x. So when it's at 0 degrees, the height would be 0. When it's at 90 degrees, then remember, when it's at 90 degrees, the height here, when it's here, the height will be 1. Okay, when it's 180, then the height would be 0. That's so the height here would be 0. So you see 180 here, the height is 0. Okay, 270, it would be negative 1, and back to the start. 360 is the same as 0 degrees. So you have a sine graph looking like this. Okay, and then your cosine graph will look like this. When it has an angle 0 here, remember the cosine is the width here. Okay, the width here is 1. When the angle is 0, then the length, the width is of 1. That's why it's here. When it's 90 degrees, the width is 0. So it's 0 here, and so on. And your cosine graph will look something like this. Okay, but just sketch it. You don't need to draw it neatly. So for example, given this circle here, let's just sketch it roughly. Okay, so sketching it roughly well, just sketch it like this. 1, so it's between 1 and negative 1. So when it's at 90, so when it's at 0 here, the sine will be 0. So when it's 90, sine will be 1. When it's 180, sine of x will be 0, and this one here will be negative 1, and so on here. Just sketch it roughly like this. Yeah. So this here would be f of x equals sine of x. Okay, and then do the same for cosine. So cosine, when it's 0, it's the width here would be 1. And when it's 90, the width will be 0. When it's 180, negative 1, 0. 360, it will be back to 1. So it would be it will look something like this. Hang on. Okay, and then my question is that I'm going to give you a random point. Let's say I'm going to give you this point here. Okay, so this angle here, let's just say it's 133. Okay, 133 degrees. So you got to label, well, on the graph, you got to label where that point is on the graph. So if 90 is here, 180 is here, I'm going to guess 133 to be around here. So you have to put your point right here to represent this point here. So this point here, you can represent it on this graph to be this point here. So just put a circle here, and then on the cosine graph, 90 is here, 180 is here. So I'm going to guess 133 to be around here. So just put a circle here to represent that point. So I want you to draw two graphs, one and this one below here, and then just put the point on there to represent this point here. Okay, so now it's your turn. I'm going to give you this point here. Let's say this point here. Okay, so this point here. This this is 90 degrees. 90 degrees is here. 180. I'm going to say 260. This angle here, 260. So this angle here is 260. Now draw the two graphs. One for this for the sine x, and the other one cos of x. And then put two circles on the, well, put a point to represent this point here. Okay, so sketch your two graphs and put the 2 points on the two graphs. Okay, so press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this here, sketch your sine graph. So your sine graph will look something like this. 0 here, 90 will be 1, this will be 0, this will be -1, this here. So your sine graph will look something like this. Okay, and this point here is 260. Well, if 270 is here, then I'm going to guess 260 will be here. You see, looking at this here, this point here, the height. Sorry. Looking at this graph here, you can tell that at 260, which is here, 260, the height here will be probably negative whatever around here. It's going to be around here. Okay. Now come to the cos x graph. Cos x will be this. When it's 0 degrees, cos of x will be 1. When it's 90 degrees, the width will be 0. When it's 180, the width will be -1, 0, and this one will be back to 1. So your cosine graph will look something like this. Okay, and 260, well, 270 is here. I'm going to guess 260 to be around here. Okay, so 260 is here, so your point will be here. You see, the width at 260 is going to be also be negative 0 point something, 0.8, 0.7, something like that. So you see, at 260 here, the height here is negative. Can you see that? The height here is negative, and also the width here is also negative. Okay, so your answer should be a point here and a point here. Okay, I will give you some more in the next video.